Yeah. Welcome.
How much more do you want from me?
More.
How much more successful do you want me to be?
More successful.
How many records can my records break?
More records.
But I'm the best.
But are you a different animal and the same beast?
What the does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
Welcome. And welcome. Welcome to the WabbsLink show. I'm the host, Wobbs. That's Mr. Link.
The host, Wobbs.
Obviously, Link. And obviously that's Zig behind me. It's always behind me. Zig's always going to be behind me every time. You know what it is. Hard Zig's part of the show every single time, either sleeping or just doing this thing in the background. Now, I wanted to make sure that I threw in, a bit of the Kobe Bryant things in there because that's just like a love of me and Lynx. So we wanted to make sure we had a little bit of that in there too, because I think we brought that up in the last show too. So big up to everybody rolling through. I know people roll through eventually. Big up my guys. Big up Jonathan. Big up. Now, we're going to be doing a little bit of discussion on a little bit on Chelsea, a little bit on mostly on Liverpool, because I don't think Liverpool gets enough shine on what they do and what they've been doing. So I got Link here to tell us a little bit. The Chelsea fans, we're going to talk a little bit about Victor. You know what it is, the tin hat man. My tin hatters are in the building. I already see J-Mac. I already see Jonathan. I already see CNF. And I appreciate you rolling through early. Because, we're going to get into, this channel's favorite topic. Victor Osimhen. It's what this channel was, inception was Victor Osimhen. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about something that Liverpool might be in the same kind of a little bit of same type of scenario too, with one of their leagues as well. And then we're going to go into how Liverpool did in their game against Man U. I'm going to let him talk his shit because he don't get to talk his shit enough.
Please.
And we'll, I'm going to talk a little bit about how the Palace game went at the end as well. Big up TPB in the chat. I appreciate all of you rolling through every single damn time. And, for you guys just rolling through, you guys always get this. Welcome. All right. So to get started on today's subjects, first thing that we're going to talk about is what's going on with Victor, bro, right? Like, what is this whole situation with Victor? Let's kind of break it down on like what we think is going to happen and what you think, like what's the idea behind all of this, right? Like what's the thought process behind we got Victor Osimhen coming in right? We have Victor Osimhen going to Galatasaray. He has this release break clause in January that everyone's seeming talking about because obviously Chelsea seem to be back in. So
Right.
they're not feigning away from their interest. They seem to be straight back into it. And it seems like Victor also has fired his agent in the process of doing so. So
Interesting.
So that being said, Link, I'm gonna start with you, bro, because like everyone's kind of waiting for my thoughts on this. Like, I this is my channel. This is my guy. Really, I'm gonna be honest. This is the guy that I've been wanting for
your guy.
8 months now since AFCON. I wanted us to pull the trigger and go grab him. But talk to me, bro. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think on the player and how he fits with Chelsea. If your thoughts on how he fits with Chelsea, as well as like what you think is like gonna happen with this. Like, do you think he's gonna end up moving out of Galatasaray in January, and this is just like an extended preseason, or this is like Victor Osimhen's next move? Is pretty much the best way of describing it.
I don't look at it as Victor Osimhen's next move. First off, just to start with the player, Victor Osimhen is a great striker. Love Victor Osimhen. I think a lot of the bad rep he's had over the last 12 to 18 months is, lack for a better word, is hate. There's very little context added to it, and I think people try to look at numbers without actually understanding why the numbers are the way they are. And then they do this with Harry Kane, and I'm definitely guilty of this, but like an entire like team's success is based on how the striker did, and that doesn't really work. And especially in Italy, the tactics are much more defensive minded, usually more restrictive, and it's not conducive to attacking play all the time. And I think the year before with Napoli and all the success they had, that was more of an outlier than the norm for that Napoli team. I think a lot of things went well. Not saying that the numbers that Kubica and Osimhen were, blown out of proportion, but just saying you're not going to see teams just banging goals like that. As far as the move to Chelsea goes, I would like to think, especially because I'm on the Chelsea channel, I would like to think he's going to Chelsea. However, I will say the bigger thing is that player power. This screams player power to me. And that's evident from the agent getting fired. That means the agent didn't do something right. But also, Osimhen, he's getting a rep for wanting too much money. But I also think he's just trying to be meticulous in the next move he makes.
Maybe I should give you a little bit of context. Let me give you a bit of context.
Give me context.
So Victor took a deal at Galatasaray that is. Right. He took a deal at Galatasaray that was $10,000 more than we offered him at over the break. Okay. So that being said, for me, this doesn't feel like a Victor being greedy. It feels like the agent being greedy, and that's why he got fired. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If he was willing to take a deal that was $10,000 more than what we were offering him 3 weeks later on his own, where he has no commission that he has to pay to anybody, but he negotiated it with his own intermediaries, right? Like, I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is a guy that actually wants something different than what his agent wanted. Okay, his agent wanted that Saudi move. Napoli screwed him out of that, right?
Yeah.
When we came back with the 150 that we were offering him, the agent didn't want it because, in essence, it would make Victor's deal
his pay cut.
They pay exactly. And if you want me to put a guess on how much this guy was probably taking out of his pocket a week, I would guess somewhere around 60 to 80K a week is my guess. That's my guess, bro. That's my guess. Because, dude, you don't
Insane.
run an agency. He runs an agency off of one player. The other two players that he has on his agency are like no names in Africa.
They're the only two players he has.
He has 3 paid players. He has Victor and 2 other players, and he just lost Victor.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
there's obviously something going wrong with this whole like idea of like why he did fire the agent BX Gunner. He did fire the agent, and he just fired, but he fired him after the whole window, right? So like the window for European window closed. He fired his agent. He found his intermediaries in Italy to find him a deal in Turkey. He got the Galatasaray deal for 4 years, and then he has the release clause. They extended his deal for another year so they could put the new release clause into it. You see what I'm saying? That's the whole idea. So
that was Napoli that did that?
Napoli put a whole nother year on his deal just so they can change the release clause on his deal. They changed the release clause and they changed how much money he was getting. He went from 220 to 160 without bonuses. Yeah. At Napoli, bro. See, this is what people are not grasping yet. You see what he's doing for himself now. The difference now is this. He's doing it himself. He's going out and doing it himself on some Lamar Jackson shit. Like he going and getting that bag by himself with his lawyers, and he's like, you know what? This 160 may be more than, because bro, think about it, right? This is why I'm telling you this agent was at least taking 60 to 80. You don't take a deal at 160 without realizing you actually making as much money or more money. You see what I'm saying? Because he's still putting it in his pocket. The money that's being put in his pocket is about the same in the end, is my point.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So now that he don't have the agent back, the agent fees hanging over him of whatever they in entirely cost, like he could just take this 160 and he cooling because that's what he was making. You know what I'm saying? So
I get what you're saying.
Like to me, like that's the context behind it, right? That's the context. Like you know, TPB, I don't know about you, bro, but I don't know how old you are or anything along the lines of that. But we run into people in our lifetime that we could all say they had some shady shit about them, but we still dealt with them. In your lifetime, my dude, I promise you, there's gonna be some people that you run into that are gonna be like that, and they hit you in a way where you could work with them, but you know how shady they are. Okay.
Yeah, and you keep your distance.
You keep your distance, but sometimes they get you, bro. Sometimes they just get you in the end. That's what it is. Sometimes, bro, they think they know what's best for you, and you don't even know what's best for yourself because you're a young man. You don't know what's best for yourself. None of us in our 20s made great decisions, okay? And for you to come and sit here and say that this is one of the better decisions that this man has made, he knows it's not. But now he's trying to fix it. And this is his way of trying to get it fixed. And I believe in the end, there will be a team in January that's going to try to get him. And it probably will be us. You know, I do believe that. In the end, I do believe, yeah, bro, I'm not going to bring up that journalist because I don't want to do too much more in-depth talk about this guy, this Nigerian reporter, because he's been very good, by the way. 3 days ago, he called this move to Galatasaray 3 days ago. So he's been very good. He has very good connections between the club, between Victor and the Nigerian camp and his peoples. So like I do think that there is a good chance that he does come to Chelsea, and this is him ramping himself up to come to Chelsea, in my opinion, because he's going to end up playing in Europe and in the Turkish league. And yes, it's not the level of the Premier League or any of these other European competitions, but like I said, this is I consider it more of an extended preseason for him. It's an extended preseason for him to get ramped up to the level that he needs to be before he walks into the door. And him playing at Turkey will at least give him the he'll be playing at least a level where he's going to be there's a level of competition that's being met at every single week, and he's at least playing football. Where it was before this, he didn't even have the option to be playing football. He was going to be out with not registered to a club, but being paid by Napoli.
Yeah, and that would have limited his training ability as well. And it's funny that you guys were looking at Tony as kind of like the plan B for Osimhen, because he would have been looking at exactly. He would have been looking at that situation, and if he follows the Premier League like I think he does, he would have seen what happened to Tony over the last 8-10 months and been like, yeah, no, I'm not having that happen to me. You know, he's got to be playing to be able to demand any type of, to have any type of bargaining power in his negotiations with his next club. So yeah, it's a very smart move for him. It seemed obvious, but some players haven't been able to take advantage of that situation. And I think it just sets him up for the future. And it gives him more options going into January and the summer after than he had this summer. I feel like everyone was saying they wanted a striker, but realistically, it was either Chelsea or Saudi.
Well, yeah, and I do think the funny thing is about this is he has a 10 club list of who can come in for him, and it's pretty much like.
When was that list made? Was that
today?
New or
brand new today? I'm assuming that the Saudis are not on that list. I'm assuming they're not on that list because you make this move. The reason you make this move is so you get the move that you want in Europe. Exactly. That's the reason why you make this move, and I understand what he's doing. And to be honest with you, you are doing all the right things to show everybody else outside of Europe that you're trying to make that move. Right? In the end, that's what you have to show people in Europe. You're not moving for money, you're trying to move for footballing reasons. If you move for footballing reasons, people respect that and will try to move on. We'll look past what happened. If you try to make this more towards footballing reasons, that's what you're going to get. If you continue this on the path of greed, this is what happens when you become greedy. You end up having to make sacrifices to your entire career. Okay? Plain and simple. Now, for on your side of things, I know how analytical you are. So I want you to kind of give people the same type of breakdown that I would give them, because I use more eye test plus analytics to kind of give people an idea of what our team actually needs, and then give them he did sack his agent deals. He did sack his agent, correct? It's a big move. It's a big move. It's a big move to make for a guy like this. Big move. So for him to do it on his own, like I said, first and foremost, kudos to you, young man. Real shit. You don't see young black men going and making their own deals, and I give props to every single one of them that go and do this shit, because they deserve their own deals. They don't deserve to be ripped apart by these agents, bro. It has happened to bro, one of the biggest football players in the NFL. I know a lot of you guys aren't know about the NFL and like that, but one of the biggest players in the NFL just did the same exact thing and made his own deal. This happened last year, and people ripped him apart for it. People criticized him for it. It took him forever to get it done, but he got it done. And you have to give someone props for getting their own deals done. You get your own deals done. You tell these agents to kick rocks, and you can get the type of money. You still get the type of money that you want in the end. Probably more that actually goes into your pocket. And that's the key here. because bro, agents are supposed to make your life easier, bro. And unfortunately, this one didn't. And sometimes
and
sometimes that's life, bro. It really is. Sometimes
and
that's life.
especially in football, I don't know too much about this, but there are predatory agents to where,
Yeah.
like, say you're from a very not affluent area, and there's two agents in town, and the one agent that actually wants to work with you is known for screwing people over, but you have to get out of the country somehow to play. You have to be seen, and that agent is your only ticket out to be seen. Sometimes you
Well,
don't have
and
that option.
sometimes these agents will take loans for you, bro. They'll take loans
Yeah,
out on their own businesses and stuff and give your family money and shit. And that's
yeah,
how they get that connection, you know what I'm saying? And for a poor family,
yeah.
that can be huge difference between
An
what they're
11,
dealing with.
12, 13-year-old kid being able to
Yeah,
feed his
bro.
family.
This kid hit the scenes at 19, bro. Like getting into like a Lille team at 20, scoring 15 plus goals at 20 in
Like
France,
you guys,
getting a move
if
to
you guys,
Wolfsburg, scoring 15
yeah,
there, or 12 to 13 there, getting a move to Napoli, making the waves that he made there. And he's
yeah,
been on the scene for 5-ish years. It's been around the same time frame as Isak. If you put Isak and his like timeline next to each other,
yeah,
they're
very
literally
similar.
like at the same time frame they're playing professional football. So yeah, and it's like an investment, man. It's an investment for these agents in the end. They know how much money they can make from these players that they're trying to make in the future, and that's what they try to do. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that there is these predatorial agencies realistically that just take advantage of people, of these kids, really. They're kids that we're talking about. Victor Osimhen is 7 years younger than me, people. I'm a 32-year-old man. He is 7 years younger than me. I want you to put that into perspective. It's almost a decade younger than me. We're talking. Like, this is a young man. He's going to young men make mistakes. It
Yeah.
happens, especially when they don't have the correct guidance. And that's what these
Hmm.
agents are supposed to be, is guidance. That's what they're supposed to be. And if they're not providing that type of guidance, this is the types of scenarios that they had.
Yeah.
Greed, 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 greed. And if you don't have the
Happens time
pull,
and time again.
if you don't have the pull of Raiola, you don't have the pull of Mendes, this is the types of shit that's gonna happen. Exactly, Deals. And how many mistakes have you made since in your 20s, my G? You know, how many mistakes have you made in your 20s? You know what? If I told you the mistakes I made in my 20s, this channel gets shut down. I promise you, this entire channel gets shut down. If I tell you what I did in my 20s, I promise everything gets shut down. We ain't doing this channel no more. I promise you. I promise you. If I told you what I did in my 20s, what I was doing in Denver, I promise you that. I promise you, G. I promise you. All of this channel might as well not even be here if I told you what I was doing in my 20s, bro. Yeah, we made mistakes, G. You know, imagine you had bread and then you make them in these mistakes. You see
Yeah,
me?
and that's the thing.
It
You just get
changes it,
all
you
this
know?
money that you've never
And,
experienced
and
or
that's
didn't know
why everyone was
existed.
so quick to jump at Victor. And I was just like, I hope he doesn't. I really hope this doesn't ruin his career. That's all I kept on saying, is I really hope this doesn't ruin his career. That's all I was saying in the end. Because this is one of my favorite players that I've gotten to watch over the last 3 years. I've been wanting this guy for a while now. Actually, when we were linked with them back in 19 after the transfer ban, we were linked with him in
Hmm.
2020, I think it was, right
Yeah.
after the transfer ban. He was at Lille, and people were telling me, "Oh, but we got Tammy." Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Tammy. Yeah.
okay, Tammy. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
Tammy. Okay, bro. Here,
They were
like,
probably telling you how good Mason Mount was in midfield as well.
oh my, don't get me started. Please don't get me started. Please don't get me started, please. With this Mason Mount guy.
Oh, question.
Oh my God, this
Would you take
Mason.
RLC back?
Huh?
Would you take RLC back?
Would I take RLC back? Nah. The only person I take back from that team, only
should take
person
two
I'm
of them
taking
back.
back from that team is Tamori, probably.
Yeah, Tamori's the definite one.
Probably only
I think you
taking
take
Tamori,
Guehi back
probably.
too.
That's
If
only
you
one.
have Tamori and Guehi, you have top four. Just show, not even that I think Guehi's that good. It's just
You
the
know,
fact
and
that
then,
you would
you know
have
how
that
that's crazy?
partnership.
They were just sitting on our fucking in our academy this entire time.
Yeah.
But who knows if they ever become the players they become if they don't make those moves? You know what I'm saying?
It will, in the way, especially with how things have gone with Chelsea, with the restructuring, the war, Clear Lake, there's no guarantee that they would have made it through this anyways. So I
Yeah.
think it was better for both of their careers that they left. But it's always a nice what if.
Yeah.
It's always a nice what if. So.
Yeah, it's nice to say like, yeah, if these guys would have made it and that, but in the end, it's like, what are we gonna do, bro? We had the best fucking we had the best center back 3 in Europe for a year, and we decided to not give the two young ones contracts. We kept the one that was 37 years old, and we didn't give the other two contracts. If we kept Rudiger, if we kept Christensen, this team would already be there. It wouldn't even. We wouldn't be fighting for top 4. We would be fighting for your third spot. That's what it would be. It would be us and you fighting for third spot if we still had Rudiger. That's I truly believe that. I 100% believe it. If it was Rudiger, Levi, Fofana as our options, we would be fighting for third. Plain and simple.
And that's kind of the point that the detractors have with the lack of experience. I think you guys are working on that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you are just missing a Rudiger type figure in that defense. That would do numbers for your defense. That would do such a world of good. And so I'm glad you don't have him, but I agree with you. You guys would probably be under that thought process that people are kind of starting to put Liverpool in, of that dark horse to challenge type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. But it's funny you mentioned Isaac earlier, because you said the tactics for Osimhen, and I feel like Osimhen and Isaac are very similar in what they can offer. I think Osimhen is just a tad bit more athletic and has a slight less technical ability, but I do think overall he's a better striker. And if you compare this to Jackson, I think he just does everything Jackson does from an actual an output standpoint. He does it better. I don't know if he has some of the same touches or the oohs and ah moments that Jackson may give you, but he's definitely not going to fumble over himself and be inconsistent in front of the goal, which is in the end why you have the Jackson haters, or why you're looking for a striker in the first place. Who's better? I think Osimhen's better. It's not that I don't like Gyökeres, but I'm waiting to see Gyökeres do it against a real defense, if I'm gonna put it plainly. Gyökeres is a good striker, but Gyökeres went from the championship to Portugal, had good seasons. His stats went up, but now he's this great striker for scoring a bunch of goals in Portugal. And my striker gets hounded on for coming from Portugal, and he put up the same numbers. So
yeah, some similar numbers. What do you do? 35 or something in Portugal?
Darwin, something like that. Yeah, 35 and 9. That might be Gyökeres' stats, but they're similar. I think Gyökeres had a couple more. But
yeah, Gyökeres had nearly 50 last year.
Yeah.
And I don't know what just happened to Link, but yeah. Now, Link, we'll talk. We're gonna switch subjects. We're gonna switch over to your team for a bit. Switch over to something that's similar. Main and reason why I have the title main targets rollback. So talk to me, bro. Talk to me about what's going on here. Is Zubamendi back? Is the Zubamendi links dead, or are we looking at a potential Zubamendi just in January?
Shout out to Mons. He says he was ready to be hurt about a month ago. And at current state right now, I don't know if I'm ready to be hurt again by this man. I feel like a man scorned by a lover that just didn't reciprocate that love, and now they're realizing that we're the right person, and I can't personally sit with that. So I can't say yes to Zubamendi right now. I need him twerking for us. I need an apology, yada yada yada. And we have Gravenberch right now, so he's not the top of my priorities just because.
What would
he
be the top
embarrassed
of
us.
your priority?
The contracts.
So you want everyone to come back? Is that the idea?
I want to know what's going to happen. If it's everyone's not coming back, okay, but I need to understand why. I need to know what's next. If people are leaving, it's okay, but they can't leave without a proper replacement. And so it's almost like, well, if you're not sure of who's coming in, you might as well keep the players.
All right, so the goalkeeper situation's figured out.
Yeah.
So right wing, right back, I guess you could use Bradley, but I mean he's not going to be what Trent provides you. But
the system might not need him to. So that's fine. So right back,
but so Van Dijk and Salah really.
Yeah. So what are we going to do with them? That's basically what the questions are. But yeah, we can talk about that a little bit later. But back to Zubamendi. I think that at the end of the day, because of our recruitment team, how they work, yada yada yada, we have not found another target that we think can do the role better than Gravenberch, other than Zubamendi, for the right price. So unless that situation changes, I think similar to what we've done in the past with waiting on Van Dijk, with not getting a Chouameni replacement as far as transfer target, holding out for was it Konate? Konate, we knew we wanted. We were going to wait for that. It's very Edwards and FSG to have targets and either say, well, we only want the best of the best, and so we're going to wait for the best of the best. But then it looks bad when people say, oh, well, you don't have other options. So that to be said, he's probably coming to our team because Sociedad is shit. And he hasn't gotten his contract yet.
Any new? Did you hear anything on this Alan Varela link?
Yeah, so apparently there were strong links. Apparently we have had tentative conversations with his intermediaries, his teams, but Porto has come out several times and said that we didn't contact them. So from my impression is that we didn't want to pay the release clause, because if we wanted the player that bad, we would have just paid the release clause. So I don't think he's at the top of the list. I think he's a backup option, but it goes back to the point I just made where I don't think they think that Varela or Slot doesn't necessarily think that Varela would be worth the money when you can just get Gravenberch to do the job.
All right. I think that we've hit this pretty hard. With this, I just think normally Liverpool, if they have a target and they want to go and get that target, and it's not someone who's unrealistic. And the reason why I say it's unrealistic that specifically is the last few guys that you went through, but minus this one, because I did think you would get this one over the line. Minus this one, I think that you get them. You know what I mean? If they're 60 million roundabout-ish numbers, once you start hitting that 80 to 100, that's where I think Liverpool kind of taps out and says, we'll go look for somebody else. But like when you're talking about like that 60 million release clause type numbers and stuff, I think that's when they normally get their guy. If it's not right now, I think it's eventually. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just how they kind of move, and that's how Edwards has always moved. I've always been very impressed with Edwards and the way that they move that way. And I mean, you guys have this is like a big year for you, like especially for Slot to be able to keep the players, the players that they have. Like I think he needs to have a good year to show that like you guys need to stay here with me at least for another couple of years before you decide where you want to go, kind of thing. And maybe not Allison, because they've already, like I said, Allison was maybe the one that they found someone that could replace Allison, who's younger than Allison, who can give you what Allison gives you. So it's like, okay, cool. When it comes to Trent, that's one that it has to be like nailed on 110%. Like for sure, you have to get him. Van Dyke, I feel like you could get 2 more years out of Van Dyke and Salah if you really wanted to. Salah's the one that I'm like, he might take the Saudi bread. And that's all right if he takes the Saudi bread. You might need to replace him in that way. And you might not replace his output in totality, but that might be the one that you replace as well. Out of the 4, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can hear that. And I think this whole year is just an audition from all parties to see what the plan is moving forward. Like if we're top at Christmas, we're in all competition still. I'm sure you'll see the contracts that being announced. And I don't
think
know.
that's a very
didn't
fair.
I send you something?
That's a very fair assumption.
Yeah, I think there was something I sent you that said contract talk started. I'm not sure. So
I'm sure this is already in talks. Oh, you sent me something on that. Actually, let me put that on the screen. So speaking on the Liverpool Big Three, their deals this month and next month. LFC will have conversations to discuss the futures of these players. I think Salah and that sentence, because there are no negotiations, so it could be the final season, but it's no guarantees. So that sounds about right. Salah, I think VVD is the one that ends up staying. To be honest, there's just not that like the pool of center backs that you would have to go for. It's like probably a little bit older center backs than like a real young one, because I don't think that you're going to make Konate your like leader in that's back line. But hey, what do I know? Okay, what do I know?
I agree.
It's your team.
I agree.
Let's talk a little bit more on your team here, and let's bring up your first subject that you wanted to talk about. Oh, well, that post is gone now. So the first post that you asked me to put in is gone, unavailable.
Okay, that's fine. I can just talk more now. So
yeah, go for it. Do you want me to bring up the second post?
Yeah, you can bring up the second post. So we played Man United. I wouldn't say it was much of a game. It's more of a scrimmage, a procession, a funeral, a moratorium. Really just utter capitulation from Man United. Didn't have to do too much. And I wanted to talk about the defense. There was a couple stats we had on a post, but that's okay. I did want to read a couple stats from the game itself, and then focus on the magnificent trio of Van Dijk, Alisson, and Konate, because a lot of talking has been said about our defense and how there's holes and yada, yada, yada. So we'll address that. So there was 1.79 to 1.31 XG. Not the greatest, but I think that shows in context that we take our chances and we also don't allow other teams to score them. We created 6 big chances to their 3. Alisson had 3 saves. And funnily enough, Man United actually had more passes than us and more tackles. So I think that is a testament to our new style of play. I kind of think that Slot said, let Man U do what they want with the ball because they won't do anything with it. And you saw that with the 2 errors from Casemiro. And just back to the center back duo, I wanted to say that was it Van Dijk and Konate have gone 19 games unbeaten in the Premier League as a center back duo. This is the same duo we had 3 years ago, and I feel like some people have miraculously forgot how good those three have been together, and they're back to starting again in a more defensively sound system. So I think it's been very disrespectful, the talk that's been had about Konate, and especially in comparisons with Saliba. I don't want to discredit Saliba, but it's so much closer than a lot of people are giving Konate's respect for. So I wanted to say that. But yeah, so that's my thing on the defense. Oh, and Konate has won 87% of his duels in this 3 games so far. He has not been dribbled by or lost a ground duel yet. So
Right.
we're gonna keep an eye on that.
You know, and I'm not trying to discredit Konate by any means necessary either, but he had a few bozo moments over the last few years that made him get this type of rep that he wasn't as good as Saliba, and he was always a very good defender, like outstanding defender in my opinion.
Mhm.
To me, it was more like is he Upamecano? Is he not Upamecano on the ball? Like that's what it really was to me, right? Like, and I know it's more Jekyll and Hyde than most people like to admit. Let's just put it that way. Especially with Konate, if you get him in a decent, if you press him the right way, I've seen him get pressed into scenarios where he's not comfortable. But in this system, it seems a lot less gung ho, so he understands where the ball's supposed to go. So it's like
exactly
not necessarily so much of a. And I also feel like he's back in his best when he's defending outside areas, like defending box areas is like not necessarily he's
that picture you have up shows
in close quarter defending, but like outside of the in outside areas, he's quick enough, he's strong enough to be able to push people from the outside, and he's defensively understanding of the game and positioning of the game is good enough where he also has VVD next to him, so he has the confidence to be able to go into tackles and know that there's somebody there to sweep up after him if he does get dribbled past. And when you have that like in the back of your head that like my guy behind me, he got me, like it makes your defending much better just overall. We used to see it. We used to see it with JT. JT used to go out and try to go out and defend people, and he knew he had Carvalho behind him, so he didn't mind, bro. He had no problem.
Carvalho, Essien, Makalele.
He always had somebody, Alex, and eventually he was the guy that was like more the sweeper, and then Alex would come up, and David Luiz and Cahill were more the aggressive ones.
Mm-hmm.
So so I get it. I get the whole this whole system is working real well because, in my opinion, you're allowing McAllister to be more what McAllister is and picking up the ball in deep areas and getting the ball out in deep areas, where Gravenberch has the legs and the capabilities of covering distances pretty well. Like he covers ground really well overall, just as his between his height and how much he's willing to run.
Mm-hmm.
And then Robertson doesn't look like the one thing that I do wonder though is I do know that you did say Simicast did play better than Robertson in preseason, but Robertson has played really well in this system next to Van Dijk.
He has. So
I do wonder, like, here's where I start to see where I want to start seeing Liverpool, right? Does this system work with the first 11, or does it work with beyond the first 11? And that's what my real question
we
is
will see.
overall about this is about him. And that's Slot, right? Slot's gonna make his money doing that. That's where he's gonna make his absolute all his. That's what we'll see how good Slot is. Is it a first 11 thing, or is it a I can drop VVD for a game and Konate and what's his face Kwanzaa can do the job. You know what I'm saying? Because like
So
VVD ain't a young G either. You know, he ain't coming up in the age too.
mhm. So I do agree with those sentiments, and I think the biggest question mark is if the drop off in quality means that we're going to take looser touches, and then that's where we'll be more susceptible. If we were to be more susceptible, I think we will lose the ball in worse positions with our second team in. Um, but in theory, it should work because if you look at the goals we're scoring right now, we haven't really scored a goal. We haven't scored too many goals of individual brilliance where you're looking at it like, oh my God. Like
Can
Salah's
I
pass
ask
to the
you
third
who's the
goal was good.
backups to the pivot?
The who That is a good question because Curtis Jones isn't healthy. So right now, I think it would be Endo and Harvey Elliott. No, that's not right. That's definitely not right. To answer your question, I don't know because Curtis Jones is hurt right now, but Endo would go into the lineup.
So it'd be Endo and Curtis Jones, is what you're saying.
More than likely, and then Harvey Elliott would rotate for Szoboszlai. But I don't
That's
have
where it's
faith in
scary, right
Szoboszlai
there.
Yeah, because then we lose legs. I don't have faith necessarily in Elliott in this system. I would like to see Elliott as the McAllister replacement, personally.
I mean, I don't
He's
know.
not defensively
I
sound
don't
enough,
know.
but his ability on the ball is going to be
Like, I
more
don't know, bro.
beneficial there than on the right.
I think,
Like
you
I
know,
can't, I
like
can't.
if Billy Gilmore was available for this team, that's who I would get as a McAllister backup. Something like that. If you're going to get a cheap backup, that's who I'd get. Something like that.
No need for Billy Gilmore when we have it in Inyoni, but I don't think Inyoni plays for some time, especially until the game, unless we have some Carabao Cup games. Maybe Inyoni, but
Is that a youngster?
yeah, that's the only youngster that's really been protected from the clear out. He played decent amount in preseason.
All
But
right.
I feel like I'm forgetting a player, but it's probably going to be a pivot of Endo and Jones.
That's scary. That's where it gets
Is it
scary.
though?
I mean, depending on how you want to, if you want to keep playing this way, I would think so.
It depends on the opponent, but I feel like that's our backup.
That's also very true, and I feel like you don't have to play both of them at the same time either. You could have
that's
McAllister
the
in one
thing.
of them, and then
Mm-hmm.
with the other one. You know, it just
I
the
feel like we'll
Endo
see more of that.
situation is how well will he do progressing the ball? And my question is the real question because this does rely on the pivot to be more of a ball progressor with like a ball, one of them being like more of a passer and one of them being more of the legs. And and for me, it feels like you don't have another McAllister replacement.
We don't. And it's funny enough that you said that. I don't think Endo's problem is progressive passes in the system. I think it's his technical ability on the ball. I think those little situations where we're just keeping the ball moving, trying to press bait teams into coming, that's where Endo will get caught out.
I can see that.
Yeah, and so the two clips I was sending you, it was more of just a breakdown of our setup. I was talking about the defense, and we nominally line up in that 4-2-3-1, but this is if you look at the two broken up pictures, it's more of a 4-2-4 than anything. And we highlight that pivot again. I can see Endo sitting deeper. I just can't see him keeping the ball like Maka, like you said. And so that's why I say, well, Elliott would be more akin to being able to keep the ball.
Okay,
But he's a defensive liability. Yeah.
Elliott in the pivot is like, I don't know. It's just to me,
nuts,
it's like,
but I don't. He's not playing on the right.
This is just so bad for Manchester United, though. Like this, I'm just looking at these pictures. This is just.
But yeah, and we were talking about that last week, where like they do this suicide press that's not really anything, and then this year Slot said it too, and they changed it up to where it's just Bruno and Xerxes running with their head cut off, and that plays directly into our tactics.
Well, it's like you guys were literally doing rondos in the middle of the game. It was fucking hilarious. Like you had like five. It was like 4 or 5 men that were around each other. It was like at the second half. I'll go try to find the clip. I think we did that. Well, we didn't do that, but this is just like this.
Oh,
is
the Rondo mid game.
We did that as well. And that's really it. Do you have anything else to really talk on?
What did I want to talk? Oh, I love every all this. Darwin's cooking. Darwin's cooking. I just want everyone. It's a slow roast. It's a slow roast. But I will say this again: if Slot can make Santiago Jimenez look like a striker that needs to be bought, he will turn Nunes into a world beater.
Santiago Jimenez is way more technical than Darwin Nunez is.
And he's still a bum.
And you guys will still end up buying him next year.
We're not buying Jimenez.
I'm telling you, bro. You keep on telling me that. That's his guy. One of these, he's going to go get one of these guys from Feyenoord.
He hasn't bought any of them.
You haven't bought anybody. What do you mean you haven't bought any of them? You haven't bought anybody, bro. You're going to get one of these guys from Feyenoord, bro.
So, but this is my thing. If he was gonna buy them, don't you think he would have been like, "Yo, just chill at the club for another year," or like they would have been like, "Oh, I'll try out Champions League or something." They're all making moves. Like they've all dipped. All
no,
of
they didn't. Gertruda left. I think Gertruda's the only one that left.
Wiper just left. Santiago Jimenez did he leave? Did that get
No,
confirmed?
he didn't really get his move.
Okay, so he stayed.
There you go.
And then they lost Minta already, right?
Well, Minta was a Newcastle sign. He wasn't like he was on loan
exactly.
to Feyenoord.
We could have bought Minta. That's the thing. We got Chiesa. We could have bought
Minta's. If he was backing up Salah, I would get it, but he needed the time to play too.
Yeah.
I don't you don't watch Haji right like we do, bro. I'm gonna tell you that right now, but. Yeah, I'm telling you that right now, BX Gunner.
Yo,
we watch Haji right for our US for the national team.
I love Haji, but this is nah.
He can stay at Coventry is about the level that he's at too. Yeah, at this current moment at least.
Haji, I feel like Haji would get a move to a newly promoted side, and then they would blame their entire season on him, and then it would just be a bad look for Americans.
Yeah,
you know Ellis Sims. That's Ellis Sims and Haji Wright are the exact same level.
Here's the other thing. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, BX Gunner. I apologize, my G. I apologize,
you, bro.
I apologize. Yeah. So, like, here's the thing. So, if Gyökeres was this like amazing striker, okay, he was this like unbelievable striker. He scored 20 goals for Coventry, okay? 20 total goals in the entire season. All comps. But couldn't get his team up.
So
I just put that together now. I'm sorry. That
and it's like the math don't math. Is the championship this great level of competition, right? Or is the Portuguese league this great level of competition? Because there's a 20 GA gap that
that's what I'm within a year. Months. It's like 30, bro. It's like almost 30 GA. It's like
that
legit at least 30 GA, bro.
Yeah,
so like
it doesn't make sense. Not even Messi or Ronaldo had that jump.
It's like what? Like, I'm just I want to see him in Europe. I can't do I can't ask him Portuguese. That's why
is Sporting in the Champions League?
Please wait until they play in Europe. Yeah, they probably are. I think they won their league last year. So yeah.
Yeah. So let's see what Sporting does this year, because all eyes will be on him. And we will see. And you know what the bad thing is? His compilation videos.
He didn't do shit. I'm telling you, he didn't do shit in Europa last year.
Yeah.
He didn't do shit. And I remember with my own 2 eyes what Victor Osimhen did to Van Dijk for 2 legs. I remember that with my own 2 eyes, bro.
I don't want to remember that Napoli tie. I don't. That was that.
That
That
tie
one was
was,
bad.
yo, that I'm telling you.
That was the nail in the coffin for that year for me. I was just like, yeah, we're finished.
Yeah, like well, you guys weren't at your best. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But
That year
but
we weren't. We were just trying to like
but
make a
but
Champions
at the
League run
same
out of the season.
time, what he was doing to specifically Van Dyke in those moments was like,
Yo, let's on my
okay,
guy, dog.
you moved me.
Yo,
You
let's
moved me.
on my guy.
You moved me, my guy. You moved me.
Very
Yeah,
much
the
back to
whole
his
the,
best.
the whole Guy Perez thing is puzzling to me, bro. It's a very puzzling. It's very, very puzzling to me. I just don't.
Oh,
I don't know
play.
yet. Like I know he
They
has
play.
great qualities, but I just don't know yet.
Yeah.
Like why
They play
couldn't
City on
why
the 5th
couldn't
of
Guy
November.
Perez why couldn't Guy Perez and Isak get his team into the Euros?
Interesting question. Interesting question. You know, very interesting question. But he
I mean,
plays
like
City on November
that's
5th.
what I'm saying. I want to see who they play in Champions League real quick.
I know they play City.
Okay, they play Arsenal. Of course, they play Arsenal. They play Arsenal every year.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it up on the screen.
Let's see.
They play Lille, PSV, Storm de Grasse, which he'll probably score 3 fucking goals in, and everyone will be like, "Oh, this will be the game that Arsenal fans will like have like an aneurysm over. We should have got this guy."
Yeah.
Manchester City.
He scores 1 goal.
Yeah, he'll score 1 goal against them. We should have got this guy. Yeah, that's pretty much it. They have 1 more game. I can't. It's not 2 more games. It's not showing. Let's see. Bologna and Leipzig. Those are the last 2.
Yeah, so those are
Bologna
decent
and
games.
Leipzig. They got some good games. They got some good games.
For as much as
Arsenal
analytics
play
that goes
Porto.
on now in recruitment, there's a reason
Yeah,
why
that does.
no one-
I was thinking about that too. Killer AMC, you right. You right about that. You're right. But I'm saying it's the both of them. The both of them couldn't do it. They couldn't get my boy Rooney Baghdadi in that team because Kulusevski is still a bozo.
Yeah, it's Kulusevski.
All right, and then I'm gonna talk about my game real quick, and then we're gonna head out of here. So I like what I saw after rewatching the first half because I only got to watch like I started the game at like 25 minutes into the game. I just caught the first goal. So I missed all the early chances because I heard we got a bunch of early chances. It was too early for me, bro. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning, by 5:30 in the morning when I had to like wake up and watch it.
Yeah, that's an early game, man.
Should be early. I woke up at 6. It was like, all right, it's straight. Like I'll right around 6. Anyways, I went to go back and watch the game. We probably should have killed this team off. We should have killed the team off like in the first half. It should have been like 2-0 in the first half. Nani Madueke had 2 clear-cut chances. Cole had a chance, a curler that he probably should have put on target. The ball that we're playing is good football, though. Okay, the football that like the style of play and the football that we're playing is good football. The goal that we conceded is just what are you gonna do? It's one of them ones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Like fucking Eze just put his foot through it, bro, and
you can't blame a wonder goal on tactics.
Nah, or on the defense either. The defense had a great game overall, bro. Like you watched the game defensively, we played really well in an entirety of 90 minutes. Now, could have Enzo closed down the shot probably, but I don't think it would have mattered because he still curled it in the end. It's not like he hit it like straight. He wrapped it around through 3 or 4 guys in the goal and into side netting. Like it was a great goal. Sometimes in football, fan bases and these fans, they love to shoot down people that do things that are well. Like what Eze did in that moment, he did extremely well. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how can you hate on that, right? Like, in what form can you hate on that? Because he did extremely well to hit that ball. But we should have been better with our chances. Nico Jackson and all these other players. What happened?
I just saw the Nani chance.
The what? The Nani
I'm
chance.
watching the highlights.
The curler, right?
Yeah, he's got to score that.
Yeah, he's got to score that. Like,
oh nah, I just saw the other one. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so he had 2 good chances to put and he had a great game against Wolves. But like, you got to be more. You got to be consistent, bro.
You got to be consistent. You got to be consistent.
In the end, that's what I mean. Now, if you're not consistent, we have Felix, we have Sancho to be able to come on. We have Nkunku. Felix, Sancho, and Nkunku to come on.
But question.
And even Mudryk, bro, at the end of the game, that Jackson chance, if you look at the Jackson chance, you know, the one that everyone's been replaying over and over on YouTube, on Twitter, like that Jackson chance, it was Mudryk who made it. That was a Mudryk pass. It was a gorgeous ball from Mudryk. Like a gorgeous ball. Like it was, I didn't see that coming off his foot, but it was a beautiful ball to put the ball in front of the player. It's crazy that he can hit the ball in front of a player, but he can't make the run to get in, to do. Bro, if he made that run himself, he probably puts it in Rose's head, but at least like he can make that pass.
Yeah, like
he can't make that run.
Yeah, you can see the pass. You see the pass through 4 players, but you can't make the run when you just have to put your head down and go towards it.
And run, bro. Sometimes, like a lot of the times, I'm just like, Enzo, hit it deep to Mudryk and run, Mudryk. Remember, like old school, like 3-4 years ago, Vinny, where they would just hit the ball to the corner and Vinny would go run and grab it.
Yeah, and say, "Go get it," and then bring it back to us in the box. Yeah. Mudryk could do
we
that.
don't have anybody in the box, but yeah, that's what like I would assume Mudryk would have the capabilities of doing with his athleticism, but he just is so idiotic to never make that run. He always wants ball to feet. If he made the run deep more often, he would be a more successful player.
Yeah, even if like
it's like an Avenger that forgets what his superpower is exactly it.
Oh my god, yeah.
That's exactly it, bro.
I don't know
exactly
about it. I don't know about Avenger.
No. But you get the analogy makes sense, right? The analogy makes absolute.
I get you. I had to throw a little hate. You know, too much positivity from me on the Chelsea channel. Yeah.
Nah, Mudryk's still shit, bro. But he's like shit like Nunez. Like he has moments.
Hey, see.
And that's the show, boys and girls. That's the show, boys and girls.
Hey, Liverpool in 36. Right, you know, y'all make good choices. I'm getting all my mottos out. And for Florida people, you soccer people, shout out Silva Select. My brother's best friend is like one of the best coaches around in youth soccer. They play beautiful football. So shout out Silva Select.
So just a little bit on us. Link is from Florida. I live in Arizona. So it's like West Coast sometimes, mountain time sometimes. I really do appreciate everybody rolling through. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure if you haven't subscribed yet, hit subscribe to the channel. I'm probably heading over to Ahmed's channel here shortly if he wants me over there. So we'll see everyone later. I appreciate you. We're going to leave you guys with Kobe Bryant and Kanye. Adios.
How much more do you want from me?
More.
How much more successful do you want me to be?
More successful.
How many records can my records break?
More records.
But I'm the best.
But are you a different animal and the same beast?
What the does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
You're welcome.
What the is he talking about?